2024 regular council meeting, and I'll call it to order now. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page using the town link. Please note, I already did that, sorry. We acknowledge that this land in which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe that with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. I ask any councillor if they have a pecuniary interest to declare it at the appropriate time. Do we have any delegations? I think we have Wolverine in the area, don't we? Yes. So we welcome you, and you're going to show us a 3D model of the old town hall, aren't you?
Show you a few 3D models even.
Okay.
Make it worth your while.
Excellent. We'll give you 15 minutes. Okay, is that long enough? Okay, go ahead.
Oh. Okay. Thanks very much for having us out here. I'll speak quickly, just to introduce us, let you know what we're doing. The bulk of the content is going to come from Jeremy driving on the computer. Okay, so we work for a company called Wolverine. We're in Sarnia, and think of us as big construction. So we work with Suncor, Imperial, Nova, this sort. We're pipe fitters and boilermakers and such. So although that's sort of our bread and butter, we got into LiDAR scanning as something of a value add proposition for our clients. So LiDAR, it's basically, think about taking a picture, but then when we have the picture, we can rotate it and we can look at it in 3D. So Jeremy's just going to bring up an image of a chemical plant. So this is first of all, my name is Doug. This is Jeremy, and this is Zyler, okay? So this is what we typically do. And in our world, we use it for planning. So we can have a group meeting looking at this. We can measure pipe off of it. This is what is actually in the field, but we can overlay engineering drawings on top of it. So if we have to go build something, we can really understand how this stuff plays out. So the reason we're here, though, is that we think there's broader application. We can scan chemical plants, but we can scan buildings, maybe buildings that are historically meaningful, that are beautiful, that the public might not otherwise see, but this gives them an opportunity to see it. So let's bring this one up just to give you an idea. So the chemical plants, I kind of joke, are not very attractive to look at, but when you see this type of thing, it's quite neat. And so, of course, this is a scan of the outside, but then Jeremy can go inside. I should just point out in terms of what we do, we scan, but these scans are humongous. They're measured in gigabytes, maybe terabytes. So we had to actually develop software to be able to view them. So this software is web-based. We can share these links with you and you can take a look. So Jeremy, scan the outside, scan the inside, and you can take a look. So what's this that you're showing?
This is a Riley cottage. This is at Moore Museum. And a big thing, I think you guys all know why we're here. We heard that the town hall was being sold, and I don't know, it just kind of broke my heart that somebody might tear that down and nobody will have any history left of it. So that's where we reached out to you guys and asked if we could scan it.
Want to show them the church in town? Just to give you some context, some idea. So we reached out to the church because all we had were industrial specific scans. So we reached out to the church, St. Joseph's in Sarnia, and this church took 2 guys 1 day to scan. Better part of a day, a little less than. And then it takes maybe half a day to a day to put the scans together into what you're going to see here. And so the reason we come is to sort of show you the tech, because if nothing more, you might find it's kind of interesting. But it might also be the case that you have some interest in doing this with some of the interesting assets in the area. And then the additional point that I would make is there is a little bit, it seems, of government funding for these type of things for doing digital projects. I think we could make a pretty compelling pitch to scan some historically meaningful assets in Plympton County. Have them displayed on the web and all this type of stuff. The issue, not the issue, but the condition there is that it can't be done by Wolverine, a for-profit company. It can't be done by a municipality. There are certain eligibility criteria like, museums, not-for-profits, and so on and so forth. So I put that out there with no pressure whatsoever, but folks can reach out to us if there's any interest. We'd be happy to be a partner. We'd be happy to do a lot of the legwork on it. But anyway, this is a church. Pretty neat.
So all this is viewable by all views anywhere, anytime on your phones, on your computers, on your tablets. So the beauty about it is if you guys want to have a meeting with Lambton County Council or something like that, you guys can meet about projects over doing this and basically walk through buildings and whatnot. And the planning part.
Yeah, so the other thing from a municipality point of view, we wonder if there's some applicability for asset management. You can imagine, I don't know, showing the fire department and the fire department planning rescue plans, just categorizing, bringing images up in council to illustrate. You want to show them either an outdoor one or the town hall.
I'll show them town hall. This.
So just we go, we've got industrial settings, we've got some nice historical or church settings. But the other thing is that we can do some landscape settings. And again, this is just kind of to illustrate.
Well, this is a good illustration of like the detail we can get.
So these scans are accurate to within millimeters. Okay, so when we use them in our setting, we can fabricate pipe based on them. So historically, we would have taken a tape measure to the field, and now we can measure within this application. I should say I'm happy to keep talking, but if anyone has any questions, please.
So a question would be for me, if you're designing something, you're saying these are very accurate.
Yeah.
So could you design a building or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody, like, say you 3D somebody else's building, and could you design another one right off of your scan?
100%.
Right down to the
millimeter.
Yeah. So even in the bid processes and stuff like that, could these be used as very accurate drawings?
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we do the bulk of. By the way, I didn't set a clock, so you guys please let us know when we're.
Start.
Okay, jumping up and down. We do the bulk of our scanning with the tripod. Okay, that's overwhelmingly enough. But of course, we also have access to drones, depending on the need. Can you easily find that connection, the hand connection that you like?
Yeah. So this is kind of fun to me, seeing this part from the Old Town Hall. Should have brought my glasses.
Yeah. Wrong one.
This part here, I find very fascinating. Just how the old joints in that old shed out there were put together. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to explain to the kids that some poor guy was out there with a handsaw cutting that to fit all this stuff together. Kids take everything for granted these days because everything's on their phones.
Which this can be on their phone too.
Yeah.
Can you keep going, but can you illustrate a measurement too?
Oh yeah.
like maybe the door or something like that.
So yeah, anyone can do this to take the measurements and all that stuff. So that's 0.79 meters there. Another beautiful thing that we love about this is we can create links and you click on the link and it takes you to, you know, any news articles from the past about the asset. So this is just can't remember who these people were. But it's like we can store all of the history just right on here and anyone can have access to it. And as for the town hall, I just did this kind of for fun. But here's what it could potentially look like.
Yucky.
So the line I use when I talk to people about this sort of idea of preserving history, a lot of people make the argument that they'd rather preserve the real thing. And I get that, but in the absence of that, this is kind of a neat approach, right? I want to show the Veterans Park.
Yeah. And some of these are point clouds and some of them are called meshed models. The point clouds are beautiful. It typically takes some learning to read point clouds, but these point clouds are so dense, it's very easy to see what you're looking at. So this is Veterans Park in Sarnia.
So I know Zyler handed out cards and there's a QR code and that will allow you to go to some of these assets. The navigation, you'll probably not be great initially, but you cut onto it quite quickly. I don't want to commit sort of today, tomorrow, but measured in small number of weeks, we've done a drone scan of downtown Sarnia, just for illustration purposes. So maybe check out what's there now. Well, fun, but please go back because we'll put more stuff up over time.
Yeah, for sure.
Just zoom in on the plaque even.
Yeah. So remember, this is a point cloud. This is millions of dots. And you can actually, you know, read that. So zooming in, you can see all these dots.
There's many more technical words than what I'll provide, but the gist is that the tripod that we have shoots out millions of points of laser, and the time that it takes for the laser signal to return is what determines the measurement. Okay, so what you're looking at is just millions of points of data.
So yeah, Veterans Park, the one we were just looking at, it's 2.25 billion points. And again, like typically to look at this stuff in the past, like I've been working in this industry for a long time. And looking at this stuff in the past, there's no software that can handle this much data at once and move so freely and easily. So it's just a beautiful thing. And now everybody can use it. You don't need special software or any of that kind of stuff, which is amazing. So that's about all I got, Doug.
That's it. Anything for us?
Any questions from council? Yeah, go ahead. Ms. Rodriguez.
Oh, you want the lights back?
Oh, you want to see who you're talking to?
Oh, thank you. So I guess, how does this benefit our municipality? I heard you talk about asset management. Okay, with the good news, is drainage.
Sure.
A good use.
Totally.
And is this something that the staff are interested in? Exploring in the future, like
I think that probably Paul might like to have one of those all in his
Oh,
own. Yeah.
yes.
So,
Yeah, through the chair, the first thing that I think about is actually our wastewater treatment plants. They're obviously very intricate in their design. And having something that you could snap dimensions on just in real time would be super useful, especially as we go through and rotate certain things and do replacements and expansions, so I think there's certainly some applicability in this software.
That's been a very hot topic for us. We got a meeting, I don't know if it's next month or whatever, in Toronto though, about the exact same thing, wastewater. So, yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. And, you know, from what you saw, you can use your imagination and find a million uses for this kind of stuff.
kind of money are we talking? Roughly, I like to do the old town hall,
So
we talking like,
I would probably rather not talk money on live on YouTube. And you know, the answer I can give is it depends. We'd be prepared to do something very much in your interest or very favorable for the community in that situation.
Fair enough.
And so,
it's amazing software.
yeah, and you know, again, without getting into specifics, the town hall would take less than a day to scan and then less than a day to take those scans and make it into this. So you're not talking about a tremendous effort.
Bucks.
I put in hundreds, you're right.
Ends in a zero.
To give you a better idea, the Moortown asset that we have on here. We scanned it yesterday and actually my son went out and did a little more scanning out there this morning and we've already got the asset uploaded. So we can be very quick with it.
Very good.
Well, we hope we'll be able to use your services in the future sometime, yeah. And I'm sure Mr. De Silva has that card stapled in his book. Other questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, yes. So I just was wondering if a report could come back sometime in the future to kind of give us more specifics on how this could be beneficial. And you're saying it's right to the millimeter, so I assume it replaces kind of like costs of engineers and things like that when you're.
Absolutely, and like in our industry, there's some big areas we can improve on. If we're doing a shutdown, I'm sure all you guys know what a shutdown is around here. So anyways, a foreman, they run around all day like crazy. So the foreman's back and forth to the trailer all the time. Jim says he needs a blueprint. So the foreman has to go back to the trailer, print out a blueprint and then come back out to site. So what our idea is all our guys are gonna have tablets out in the unit. They're gonna have everything right there and it's gonna save a crazy amount of time. And another example, like we all know what's going on down in Florida right now. We've known it's been coming for 4 or 5 days, so if somebody wanted their house scanned, we could have had it up there and preserved for them.
We've on that topic, we've seen people who do similar but internationally. A site with Ukrainian heritage. You know, you can imagine that some of that stuff might be in jeopardy. So it's pretty neat.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned drone. So do you do scans with your drones also, the same type of thing? Is you into that technology?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if maybe it's completely obvious, but the drone, we can mesh the drone scan with the on the ground scan. You know, so up top, you can only capture on the 3D asset that which you see. So there's going to be some things that get blocked, roofs and stuff like that. But then when you come in on the ground, you kind of get that bottom angle. Yeah.
Can you scan us so that we don't change? We just kind of.
Too late for this.
Serving it.
Hollow.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, what you mean about it. Yeah.
Picture that image.
We'll move into business arising from previous meetings in a couple of minutes, as soon as Ella gives us the go ahead. Oh, we're ready to go? You wouldn't see people there. I think Adam- There's the people, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Wolvet, seconded by Mr. Van Claveren, that the report by Adam Sabansky, CAO dated September 25, 24, regarding the proposed Huron Shores Optimus Community Project update and grant opportunity be received, and that council approves submitting an application to Stream 2 Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund for the proposed Kamlaki Recreation Facility. Any questions? Mr. Bouchen?
I have one clarification question. Is the plan to apply using that $2 million budget, or is the plan to provide the optimists and the contractor the information they need to refine and update the cost estimates and use that for the application? Get them away.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm apparently technically challenged tonight. Because the grant is first come, first serve, we could wait until we got further down the line, select the final location, which we're hoping to bring a report to council shortly on, and then submit afterwards. But because it's also first come, first serve, that does put us further down the line. So the intent of the committee was to submit for a grant based off of the initial proposal with updated values as noted in my report.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have the strongest application we can have. So that's the only question I have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? So all in favor? Carried. You? You didn't have any questions now, do you?
Oh, no.
No.
If there were any other questions, so. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Mr. Van Claveren, second by Mr. Wolvet, that the minutes be adopted by council and that those confidential minutes of closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. We have the regular and closed meetings of September 25, 24. Been planning and closed planning meetings of September 30th, 2024, and the planning public meetings, meeting minutes of the zoning bylaws for amendments number 115 and 114. Everyone in favor? Thank you. Carried. Moved by Mr. Van Claveren, and these must have been down here, and you guys, seconded by Mr. Wolvet, that the minutes be adopted by council and that those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, the Environmental Service Committee meeting minutes of September the 5th. Any questions on them? All in favor? Okay, we have no accounts at this time. What we do? Sorry? Oh, did we miss council reports? Did we have the reports? Okay. Yes, this, Bob, have you got anything to report?
No, nothing to report at this time. Maybe the next meeting.
Mr. Van Claveren?
Quick report on our Plympton County Historical Society meeting last week in Kamlaki, and I thanks to the deputy mayor for attending. It was a big help.
It did help, didn't it?
It did a lot. And so first we started at the museum, and there was 3 team members there, and they did an amazing job. I pretty much had to blink the lights to get our members to go to our next stop, which was a community center, where our Wolverine team did their presentation, and I kind of braced them for to give a presentation in about 15 minutes, and the questions after 45 minutes, I really had to bring it to a close. They were just so intrigued with this group, and for their interest was the capturing of heritage buildings specifically. And then we had a regular meeting. It was a good attendance, and it was dark when we went home. Yes, a nice long meeting. It's good. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Belgian?
Nothing new to report. Thank you.
Mr. Vasey?
Yes, did that last council was Mrs. Marley mentioned?
Yes, she was. Yes, we did.
Here, so, but then I don't have anything.
Okay, but we're glad you're here. Ask about it. Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you. I have a few things. The first executive board meeting, Conservation Authority, last Friday, it was an emergency meeting. We had less than 24 hours notice. There was 640 acres of conservation land that's currently being farmed, but it's in the floodplains of Sydenham River. The farmer bailed out because he was losing money. So the meeting was to try and get approval for a neighbor farm to put in winter wheat. There was some back and forth on that because we just got a grant to reduce phosphates from entering the river. But we need to put phosphates on that land in order to grow winter wheat. It was a little bit of a. Yeah. In the end, they're putting in winter wheat. We've lost $144,000 out of reserves because of this. And Mr. Broad, who sits on that board and is experienced farmer, was indicating that, you know, expect more losses because prices have come down per bushel or however they do it. The yields aren't as good this year. And then I was invited to present to the Girl Guides of Wyoming on Monday night to do a presentation on being a female politician. It was a very smart group of 5 to 12-year-olds. Who had plenty of questions and asked me to bring back a few things to council for your consideration.
Doing that now?
Yes,
Or
just
under new
very
business?
quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, under new business probably would have been good, but they want council to know about or Parks and Rec to know that the spring-loaded riding toy at McKay Park needs to be replaced, not taken away. They would like it replaced. Okay. And Huron, I believe, is that correct? Is in need of more play equipment. And a girl who lives on Churchill Road would like a park closer to her so they don't have to drive to get to a park. And another girl was upset that her dad cut too many branches from the trees in their yard. And now it's harder for the squirrels to move around. Yes. So that was
Well, that's very interesting.
Oh, it was great. The girls were just wonderful. And I got a box of Girl Guide cookies for event.
So those are our future politicians now.
They would actually like to come to either a council meeting or Parks and Rec and be able to talk on one of the items.
Oh, yeah, well, Parks and Rec
Exactly.
one would be good for them. Yeah,
Yes,
books are
more.
there, you know, yeah.
Yes, I did let them all know that if they have a dog, they have to tell their parents, they have to pay $20 to renew their license every day.
Even though
I thought they could
yeah,
associate with that as well.
yes, they can.
And that's it for me.
Okay. And we had recognition night for our previous mayor out at Kimlaki. We've now named the hall at Kimlaki Community Center Napper Hall. I think he was quite moved by it, if I remember. And then we have at the Plympton-Wyoming Historical Society meeting on next week, October 16th. We have a David Irving speaking on early militia history in Lambton. So if anybody's interested in who shot who in Lambton, well, come out next Wednesday. You might hear about it. And one of the guys, he's put in a whole bunch, or I don't know how many, but some analog telephones in the museum down there just on Saturday morning. And then on Saturday afternoon, 7 kids came in with someone and they had a riot on it, I guess. They were, all using them and talking to each other. So in case you want to go back to the old telephone tryout system, you can go to the museum and get. That's all. How's that for reports on council? Next. No accounts at this time. Am I okay now?
At this time.
Okay. Next motion. Moved by Mr. Bowden, seconded by Mr. Vasey, that the report by Mackenzie Baird, planning technician, dated September 30, 2024, regarding a second house agreement request for 4386 Confederation line be received, and that bylaw 120 of 2024 be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Are there any questions? Is there anyone to speak on this one?
The,
Are they,
yeah. No,
did you?
not this one's fine.
Okay. So all in favor? Carried. Moved by Mr. Wolverine, second by Van Claveren, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 1, 2024, regarding an application for funding for the Housing Enabling Core Servicing Grant be received, and that council supports an application to rehabilitate Confederation Line from Mandamin Road to the village of Wyoming. Are there any questions on this? Mr. Bougen?
Is there a timeline for when the project has to be completed by in order to see that 50%? Just because it's a pretty decent stretch. So is that 2 phases, or like how are we thinking, or does it have to be all done at once?
Yep, through the chair. The project would have to be completed by 2028. However, a project like this is mostly a rehabilitation, something that can be handled entirely in-house, so we can turn it around pretty quickly. We don't have any issue with the timeline.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Wolverine, did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Not so sure that Corey and Nicole heard what happened on
what?
their topic there that we just approved.
Oh.
Yeah, it kind of happened quick and I'm not, they're looking kind of.
So, but yeah, it's okay, it's all approved. That's why I said.
That's as excited as we get.
Staff will get in touch with you if you weren't paying attention tonight.
I think they heard it. Thank you. That mattered.
Yeah, thanks for sitting in on us and, seeing how efficient we are.
Yes.
So, any other questions on this, Confederation line? Yes.
Yes, I just had a few things. Sorry, again,
Okay, it's done then.
housing, that's the one where. where's my notes? Oh. Townsend lines, I do. Townsend line, you noted 300 future developments. That land there only allows for 25. So I'm just. We get a lot of phone calls on that, so. So I just want clarification on your one paragraph in there where you stated up to 300 can happen between Townsend and.
Through the chair. So this is lands that are east, I guess it would be east of Hillsborough Road. So between Lakeshore and Hillsborough, there's a bunch of land that's pegged for future development.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you
No,
want.
I'm not including that other section there,
Okay,
those numbers.
thank you. And the Confed, where you're seeking this, the anticipated condo development application doesn't state that would be forthcoming. You just didn't note how many possible houses were gonna be in there like you did with the other. So I just didn't understand. I was kind of looking for some numbers. Yeah. And the future development spots there as well.
Through the chair, it's roughly the same 300. That future condo development is I think they're planning on 50. If I'm not mistaken, we don't have the application yet. We've just been to the developer, but we know it's coming.
Okay. It's just that it was noted in the others and not that one, so for comparison. And was there a cost for applying for this grant?
For us.
Yeah, just staff time.
Okay. That was it.
Any other questions? So all in favor, we'll be able to cruise into Wyoming. Carried. Another report by Mr. De Silva. He's been busy lately. Moved by Ms. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Bougen, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, and Al Little, Coordinator of Operations, dated October 2, 2024, regarding the 2024 sidewalk removals and restoration tender results be received, and that the tender from BKT Excavating in the amount of $15,884.64, including HST, be accepted. Any questions on this? Mr. Wolven?
Just some of the comments that were made in this report. We all see what the bids are and we see the huge difference from bottom to top. $15,884 to $68,186, but the comments that were made just recently we became aware of contractors contacting other registered bidders and requesting that they submit their bid through them, promising that they will in turn award them the work. Staff will continue to keep a close eye on this development and endeavor to be cautious and prudent in our recommendations to council. Like, is this something that staff has experienced before? Or would you really even know it?
Through the chair, it's something that's happened on a few jobs this year. I haven't experienced this really in the past, or at least if it was happening, it was never really brought to our attention. The reason that we kind of know that this is happening is because a contractor contacted us and told us that it was happening. That another contractor had contacted them and said, hey, listen, don't bother submitting a bid, submit it through us. If we're low, we'll award you the work. So we don't really want to see that happening, so we're keeping a very close eye on it.
Well, it adds up to collusion and like when you look at it, if you're getting these bids in, if it was colluded upon, everybody puts in a high bid, it doesn't even look like it will be a low bid, it just, okay, we're all gonna bid 70,000 or 68,000 and that's it, and that's the only bid you get. On a job done, it can be really confusing on what you're paying or what you're not. And I'm not even sure, is it legal? Legal to pull that? Like when you're asking each for specific bids?
I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
on the legality of it. It's certainly unethical. And that's why we'll probably look at maybe doing some type of pre-qualification, especially for bigger jobs,
Mhm.
right? Where there's a lot more risk involved. A job like this, it's relatively low risk. We feel comfortable, even though this contractor is considerably lower than everyone else. And there was a few local guys that did bid this job. We did reach out to the contractor and said, hey, you're quite a bit lower. Did you fully understand what we're asking you to do here? And they said, yeah, and we're kind of surprised that everyone else was so high. So we've used this contractor in the past. We don't have any issue with awarding them this particular contract, but certainly the other stuff is concerning, and we're looking pretty strongly at doing pre-qualification because of it.
Like, this isn't the first time that I know this council hasn't noticed the huge difference from low to high bids. And I mean, sometimes you sit here and say like, how can that be triple? Well, normally we'll get the answer, well, they don't really want the job. So they'll bid high, and if it doesn't come along, then maybe they'll make some adjustments and take the job. So, but when you read this, you're thinking, well, maybe this is happening more often than we don't. Because you wouldn't know if they don't tell you, if you didn't find out from somebody. So yeah, so anyways, good find, and you did go back to the low bidder and say, do you realize they confirmed, yes, we know exactly.
Mhm.
So, okay, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Vancraft?
Sometimes you'll see in any type of bidding process where that kind of fraud is happening, but it often can be regulating, because if somebody will do it with you, they'll do it to you. So they'll try to collude with somebody, and one of those two is going to get burned. It always happens. So then everybody's looking after their own interests for a while until someone decides to collude again.
Mhm.
But it's good that you're aware of it. You've made attention of it, and you're looking for it. That's it. Yeah.
Ms. Rodriguez?
So, being in the spirit of that conversation, I just kind of want to bring a different perspective to your statements. And I would suggest or provide caution that there are two sides to this in the economic conditions right now. Some companies are completely underbidding in an effort to get work and try to ride the tide by incurring losses just to get the work. So the contacting by other companies may very well be an effort to stop that undercutting. There are some notable companies in economic hardship right now due to this undercutting going on and may not survive the long haul. So it's just a different perspective for consideration. I do have some questions on the quote itself or the tender. You mentioned in your staff report the 1.5 meter width for AODA, but grandfathering applies to these existing sidewalks. And then you noted, that this job would be to remove and restore the sidewalks. Is that the whole 152 meters that you've noted in here? Or portions of the 452 meters on all these identified sidewalks?
Through the chair, all of the sidewalks would be removed and restored with topsoil and seed, not restored with new concrete.
Okay, that was gonna be my question. Okay. And that would be,
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that insight. Yeah.
Thank
you. Anyone else? Any? Okay, so all in favor? Good. Moved by Mr. Vacy, second by Ms. Rodriguez, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 1, 2024, regarding the tender results for the supply and delivery of sand for the 2024-25 season be received, and that the bid from Van Bree Sand and Gravel Limited for 16.85 per ton plus HST be accepted. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Moved by Mr. Vacy, second by Ms. Rodriguez, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 1, 2024, regarding the Confederation Line and Broadway Street hydro relocation and traffic signal installation be received. And that the town accepts Hydro One's proposal to relocate their utility to accommodate the new traffic signal at a cost of $71,885.81 plus HST. And that council approves the quote from Blue Water Power in the amount of $262,273.13 plus HST to install the traffic signal. Any questions on this? Mr. Bougen?
I know there was a comment in the report about having a communications plan ready for that drop-off spot, since we're losing those 2 lanes. But logistically, has there been a conversation on where the school is sending those parents to instead of once they lose those parking spots on Confed?
Through the chair, I have a meeting with them tomorrow morning on that.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Moved by Mr. Willett, second by Mr. Van Claveren, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated October 4, 2024, regarding 2024 trenchless sanitary sewer repairs be received, and that the quote submitted by GFL Environmental in the amount of $36,950 plus HST be approved as an extension of an existing contract. Any questions on this? I have a question. It's a trenchless thing. So how do you compare anything that way?
For you, robotically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they'll go in there and they'll remelt the calcification.
Selva now, is that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That's all. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Mr. Bougen, seconded by Ms. Rodriguez, that the report prepared by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant Public Works, dated September 27, 2024, regarding the tender results for the Hicks Drain maintenance be received, and that the tender for from GM Construction for 55,918.05, including HST, be accepted. Bylaw 123 of 2024 be taken as read 3 times, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign said bylaw accordingly. Any questions on this one? Favor? Carried. Moved by Mr. Wolpert, second by Van Claveren, that the report by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant Public Works, dated October 3, 2024, regarding the tender results for the Michigan Line core drain culvert replacement be received, and that the tender from JLH Excavating Incorporated for $73,274.50 plus HST be accepted, and bylaw 125 of 2024 be taken as read 3 times, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw. Any questions on this one? All in favor? Good. Good. Are you looking at? Oh, no bylaws, no, this time. So we just passed a bunch. Yeah. Okay, we have a petition. Moved by Ms. Rodriguez and seconded by Mr. Vacy that the petition organized by John Kreigsma, which is it? Kreigsman, be received, and that staff work with Mr. Kreigsman, to formulate a limited, still a man, a limited services agreement for Santa Monica Boulevard, California Avenue, and Beverly Glen for council's consideration at a future meeting. Did you want to speak to this at all, Mr. Kreigsman?
The petition is pretty straightforward and it is a simple ask and it's based on already existing agreements with 2 other locations. And to be said, if questions to be directed at me, I'm here for that purpose.
So as council, has any council want to ask it, Mr. Vacy?
Yes, through you to Mr. De Silva. So how do these agreements work as far as town goes? I know the one agreement that we took on recently cost us almost $200,000 in drainage works because they took it on and couldn't get out of it. So I'm leery, I guess would be the word.
Through the chair. Basically, we'll enter into a limited services agreement that just says we're gonna plow snow for emergency vehicles and for the residents. These roads are low-class roads, so they'll receive the same level of service as, say, a cul-de-sac would, for example. We'll also do limited grading, because most of them are gravel roads. Pothole repair, stuff like that, and we'll do tree trimming. Basically, it's a carbon copy of the 2 other agreements that we already have. In terms of any drainage or assessments, that won't change because we were assessed that $200,000 in Invercarron because the road allowances are ours. They're unassumed roads, but we still own the road allowances. So that in and of itself, even if we didn't enter into this agreement, would still apply.
So what advantage is this to us? Right now, we don't do anything. So it costs us nothing.
Correct.
So do we need more equipment? Are the roads big enough for our equipment to get down?
At this time, we don't foresee any need for additional labor or equipment to accommodate this request. If this continues to develop amongst all the other roads that are similar to this, we may need to look at that a little bit closer to see whether we need any additional labor or equipment. But at this time, no, we don't.
So we say yes to this one. How do we say no to the next? The next one. The next one.
You don't?
Yeah, so through you again. The bigger picture here is that I've been tasked to come up with a really detailed report regarding our unassumed roads. And I plan to present that to council in the new year. At that time, we're gonna really put our heads together and see how we're gonna handle this in the future. But yes, you're right. It's a matter of fairness. They're asking for it. Others may ask for it as well. So that's something that we're considering.
Okay, Mr. Vacy? Well, not okay, but are you finished?
Okay.
Mr. Belgian?
Listen,
Seeing as we're just carbon copying and following a precedent, we have a timeline. Obviously, there's no a real decision happening tonight. We're just asking you to work with them to create what we're going to vote on. Is there a timeline for when that's coming back to council?
Through the chair, I think that we can turn this around relatively quickly so that it's in place for the winter season.
That was kind of what I was getting to. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yep.
So my question refers to these taxpayers pay for municipal services. They don't receive a reduction because they don't have their road plowed, correct? So they're already paying for service they're not getting. Essentially.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, but their assessment, like, we don't assess them. Assessment office says that, impact does that, so they probably take into account that all of the services aren't maybe quite up to snuff.
Well, that would be interesting to know.
Well, yes, it would be.
Well, because I've had taxpayers reach out to me regarding that.
Okay.
Saying that-
Contact the impact and ask them.
Okay, so that would be a good answer to bring back.
I think so. Yeah, and they can call impact themselves.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna do it for.
No, good lord. Pay me enough, sorry.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Well, yeah, this can be a very complicated little item. We're dealing with another area, not going to mention where, about an unassumed road and wanting access to their lots and yeah, then we start to show assumption and upgrade and gravel, and it probably will cause some of these other unassumed roads, which are ours, to certainly step forward and say, what about us? So I think, and I'm glad you're coming in the new year with some kind of report on these unassumed roads, because at this day and age, you know, with people's homes and nice homes and everything else on these roads that, you know, you can't even get into with emergency equipment or whatever, as it snows, it becomes a very important topic to those homeowners. So the report that you're gonna put in bring forth in January, to me, is extremely important. And we got a lot of unassumed roads out there that we don't deal with. We don't service in any which way. So I'm not against, you know, we've already got agreements in place here, and maybe we got to realize this is what we're dealing with right now. We're not dealing with something 4 years from now, right? We've
I
talked
think
about.
Adam wants to say something.
Well, I'm talking first. You're gonna have to.
Well, I
wait.
know. I'm just thinking,
Just joking, Adam.
I'm just thinking maybe he wanted to say something
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
what you were
Yeah,
discussing.
let him talk. He looks like he'd like to.
Well, I was just holding my hand until I was asked to talk, but there isn't too many more subdivisions in the same condition as this one. There was a few subdivisions where they were built on public road allowances and the roads were never assumed. This is one of a number. But there's also subdivisions that were built on completely private roads, which the town has no stake or ownership in. And then there are some areas that are on closed road allowances, which is, I believe, which one Councillor Wolvett is referring to. So the big variation there is the closed road allowance is not open to public use. The owners who abut that can use it to access their lands, but it's not open as a public thoroughfare, where the roads in this specific subdivision are open to public use. And therefore, there's a significant legal distinguishing between the two.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. And I'm certainly not against this. Like you said, we already have 2 agreements in place, and it's something we're dealing with right now, not January or next year or whatever. So we've talked about this type of thing before here, we're not dealing with something different in the future. So yeah, I certainly would not oppose making the same agreement.
Okay. Anyone else? All in favor? Carried. Okay, onward. Moved by Mr. Belgian, seconded by Ms. Rodriguez, that the correspondence items A to I relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. Does everyone have any issues with any of this correspondence? Ms. Rodriguez?
So I wanted to point out our E.
E?
E.
E. Oh, yeah.
E was.
Senior Advisory Committee?
Yes,
Yes.
so
Be on it?
in about 10 to 20 years, sure. I found it a good read, but it was way back in March.
Yeah, it was good.
What I found interesting about it was the need for more public transportation in rural communities, and Lambton Shores has it, the transportation thing, and we're kind of the missing middle because we're out of the loop on it. And I know there's been some discussion briefly about it in previous meetings, but there, I understand there's a grant available right now for rural transportation, so I wanted to know if staff was working on that. And would it apply to getting in on this public transportation that's currently in place?
So, Adam's going to probably speak to this.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you. So initially, we had started to look into carrying out a public consultation and potentially a transportation needs study to make ourselves eligible for the grant. Very early in that process, we had started talking to the group that runs the Lambton Shores Strathroy transportation system, and that's the advice they gave us, to have those two items done beforehand to make yourself available to that grant. However, before I got started on that, the County of Lambton contacted me and asked if the town was interested in a county-wide transportation system, and would we be willing to support them in them pushing for a grant to supply transportation for all of Lambton County. So being that it would be more likely succeed on a county-wide level. I did reiterate to the County of Lambton that we would support them in endeavors, including potentially hosting public open houses at our facilities and helping it whichever way we can to ensure that public transportation is provided to all of Lambton County, including us.
Excellent.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Sabansky now while he's still there?
Yes, so, no, just a comment. I think that's excellent. So they, just to confirm, they will be applying for this grant then?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's excellent. And then item G. Resolution from the municipality of Waterloo to solve the humanitarian crisis. I think it's an excellent letter pushing back at our upper levels of government to step in and start funding and create solutions province-wide, instead of putting it on the backs of municipal taxpayers. It's causing a lot of hardship. We need a bigger pool and a bigger set of minds to deal with that. We're very lucky, but we're abutting, and we all work in areas where we see these problems, and it just really needs to be tackled in a whole different way.
Okay, so. You
So
want
I
to
would
support
like,
that?
yes,
Okay. That's G.
G, yeah.
So we leave G out of that. Funds.
So you don't have to take it out.
Don't need.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Anyone? Mr. Mulvett?
How about the one at the bottom there, resolution WOWC Blue Box transition? This is to support Warden's Caucus, their support for the Blue Box program, extended producer responsibility for household, industrial, commercial, and the industrial sector, which are not eligible for this Blue Box program. So they should be brought into this new Blue Box redesign, and so that they have to recycle their stuff, same as all the rest of us. So we don't end up in landfill. So I'd like to see us support that. And this letter is from Glenn McNeil, Chair of the Western Ontario Warden's Caucus. So I'd like to see us support that.
Do you have any comments on that, Mr. De Silva?
Just through you, I would agree, because right now it only extends to residential. So this would include ICI customers, industrial and commercial.
So, we get that, so. Coming up, okay. So the rest of them, we can go ahead and, okay, so that the recommended reading be noted as received and filed accordingly. All in favor? Carry. And then we'll need
Seconder for Councillor Rodriguez, motion regarding supporting G.
yes. Seconder for
Yes, please.
Mr. Van Claveren.
And then the second resolution about the blue box transition.
Again, John?
Sure.
Second. Just put his name down. Moved by Ms. Rodriguez and seconded by John, that council support correspondence item G from the municipality of Waterloo regarding save the humanitarian crisis. All in favor? Oh, solved?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like saved, sorry.
It's my writing.
Yeah, L too close to the, up there. All in favor? Did everybody put their hands up? Sorry, thanks. Now, the next one. Moved by Wolbert, second by John Van Claveren, that council support correspondence item I from Western Ontario Warden's Caucus regarding blue box transition. In favor? Carried. Then now it's almost 6 o'clock, so we have a drain meeting to discuss. I will hand everything over to you, Mr. Van Claveren. You're the chair of these drain meetings, aren't you?
Deputy Mayor.
Just gonna get your first.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. At this time, if you have a pecuniary interest, I would ask you to declare that. Let me explain what's happening tonight with the salt drain. Purpose of this second consideration meeting is to discuss the technical aspects of the updated drainage report dated August 27th, 2024 for the salt drain. The original report was referred back to the engineer for revisions at the July 10th, 2024 consideration meeting. There are assessment concerns. These will be addressed later at the court of revision. Allow me to introduce council and staff personnel that are present. We have our Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Councilors Wolvette, Rodriguez, Vasey, Bojan, our Drainage and Engineering Coordinator. I'm not sure if she's online with us today. I don't think she's present today. Drainage Clerk Jessica Wilson is here. Director of Public Works Paul Da Silva, Treasurer Norma Roddick-Priest, Ella Flynn, our Executive Assistant. Aaron Korchak is here, and Josh Warner is the engineer on this project. Mr. Warner, would you be so kind to update us on the revised report, please?
Thank you. Through the chair, as was mentioned, this is a reconsidered engineer's report for the sol drain. So the report was referred back by council to review an additional option of running the tile along the south side of Egremont Road to the northwest. Meeting was held on July 12th, 2024, where the two options were discussed with the directly affected landowners. It was decided that we would prepare a high-level cost estimate of the new option, video the existing private tile drain, and then report back to decide on the final direction. While we were evaluating the option of proceeding along Egremont Road, the owner of the Symington property was able to provide us with a tile map from 2009. The 2009 tile map showed that the main tile was replaced from Egremont Road to approximately 50 meters south of Fisher Line. Felt that with such a new tile replacement, this should reduce the benefit percentage for that section of the tile from 40% to 20%. The video showed that the existing private tile was plugged with roots approximately 20 meters from its outlet into Bonnie Doon Creek. So following these investigations, changes in assessment percentage and the preliminary estimates and assessments for the revised route, it was determined in consultation with the abutting landowners that the original route would provide the best solution for the area. So it basically matches the original report with 248 meters of HDP pipe, 3 catch basins, 2 road crossings. So the Fisher Line road crossing is being completed by us, Jack and Bohr, and Egremont is proposed to be an HDP pipe completed by Open Cut. So the total estimated cost for the project is $137,000, $137,174. The report also includes a detailed breakdown of the allowances and assessments, provisions for maintenance, working areas, drawings, and construction specifications. At this time, I'm available for any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Josh. Any written correspondence come in, Jessica?
Nope.
So I'll put it out to anybody online. I see Amy's online, and do we have some folks here in chambers? Any questions for Josh tonight?
None from us.
Everybody's good. Any comments? Any thoughts? Was reworked considerably. That meeting specifically was very informative and productive, I thought. It was really good to talk it through and everybody get a better understanding, and appreciated you being there. So how about from council? Any questions on this reconsideration? Allow me to read the motion. Moved by Councilor Bob Wolvette, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated dated August 27th, 2024 regarding the Saul drain be adopted as presented, and that provisional bylaw 93 of 2024 be read a first and second time, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Bob Wolvette, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the consideration meeting Saul drain be adjourned. All in favor? And that's carried. Deputy Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks all. Appreciate that very much.
All right, so.
Makes it easier.
Okay. Oh, we have any new business? We'll start routing.
Had one quick thing, it was just, I had a bunch of questions, not a bunch, I had 2 questions about hydrant flushing, just if they're watching tonight, the town posted about that today, that the hydrant flushing schedule is starting, I think tomorrow, today, for the entire town.
Mr. Daisy?
The only thing I have is the Oktoberfest that Kamlaki Optimists are putting on Friday. I know there is tickets available. Sounds like a good night.
Yep. Shine up your dancing shoes. Ms. Rodriguez?
You danced it, Bumpa?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you. Just quick note about its Fire Prevention Week. There's been some good messaging on the town's Facebook page. I did have a question. Was there any plans on posting anything about carbon monoxide in the schedule of postings? Do you guys know?
Yeah, I can comment on that. So, Fire Prevention Week, normally they pick a theme. And then the whole theme's kind of rolled out based on the messaging that they've come up with.
Okay.
So it's really just about the smoke alarms, not CO alarms. So we've been using their graphics and their proposed wording and kind of just adding a little bit more to it. Smoke alarms and CO alarms would be applicable to both circumstances in regards to like check the batteries and, you know, vacuum them regularly and whatnot. So there's no specific mention of content.
Thank you. It's all good messaging, all the same.
Mr. Belgian?
And just to add to that too, there's firefighters in all the schools and they're talking about smoke alarms and CO alarms.
Good. Good. Mr. Van Claveren, any new? business?
Just a quick comment that we're fireman is going full steam. Just be careful out there.
Sure, you can see the dust all over the place. Mr. Wolfett?
Well, since my buddies over there took my thunder there on Fire Prevention Week, thank you very much for that. I can stroke off those 3 items. I've had 3 or 4 comments on the railroad tracks over here being patched up and some asphalt put along there, so that's a good thing. That's all I have for this evening, and happy Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you. I don't have any new business, so now we'll move into a closed meeting section and will we have a short break or will we just move right into our closed meeting session? What do you think? Keep on going. You guys want out early, don't you? Moved by Mr. Vacy, second by Mr. Bougen, that council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, recommended for the following reasons. Item A, litigation matters, section 239 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Everyone in favor?